Well, hello everyone, and thank you for joining me in another episode of RPG Horror Stories from Reddit. In today's video, we have a tale about a player leaving a game after dealing with a metagaming game master. A story about a dungeon master broadcasting a game to the internet without asking the players first, and more. So without further ado, let's get right into these stories. Power Mad Storyteller by Reddit user Megan Marie Jones. I recently quit a play-by-post World of Darkness multi-splat game on Discord and Roll20. I was playing as a young 15-year-old werewolf, specifically as a glasswalker, for those that know the system. The game permitted adult content, so I chose to mark my character with story only and celibate tags, so I wouldn't have to deal with any of that. I didn't mind innuendo or awkward situations, but I have no interest in erotic play. I was told, of course, that this was fine. There were two storytellers in the game, one of which was the main one, while the other was secondary. Immediately, I recognized the main storyteller was a problem, even though they'd been the one that said my character would be fine. It's set in modern day, and they would often speak of my character as Gen Z in a derogatory way, even though the game was literally full of characters in that age range. After getting that vibe from them, I opted to just avoid them in roleplay. Unfortunately, this meant that I wasn't able to do a lot of quests in the game, as they were given by the storytellers two non-player characters, a lolly time mage and a similarly sexualized space mage. I was fine with this, but they started making comments about how I hadn't done the intro yet, or that I was procrastinating. Admittedly, I was, since I just plain didn't want to interact with them. I played in an arc with the other storyteller, which went well, and I was fine with that. However, the other storyteller wouldn't leave that be, and eventually pushed the narrative, where I'd have to meet the quest givers. So, reluctantly, I performed the ritual that would put my character in contact with them, and almost immediately, my character was being berated by them. However, much of the insults, while being given in character, were actually targeting out-of-character information. For instance, I introduced my character into the scene by describing a garment of hers, as wearing nerdy shirts were a trait of hers. I like to add description so that there's some depth other than she walks into the room. The response that I received was one of the characters saying that they don't need to know what my shirt looks like. Yes, this was stated, in character, in response to me describing out of character that my character had a shirt with a witty saying. It only went downhill from there, as they also seemed to take issue with me using any kind of pop reference. At one point, I was instructed that if I used another one, I wouldn't be able to do any of the quests, and I would face permadeath. Yes, this was told to me by the character. And sure, I know that it was just a power-mad storyteller, just using the character as a mouthpiece to make it seem like the guilt wasn't theirs. I made no reply after that comment, and my next post was in the general out-of-character channel, just to say that I would show myself out. Well, by the sounds of things, OP already wasn't gelling with this game, especially with avoiding one of the game masters. So it's no surprise that once said game master would be adversarial to OP and threaten their character in an out-of-game way, that OP just noped out. Which, honestly, was the right thing for OP to do, as I can only see more strife coming out of that situation. Let's move on to the next one. I joined a game of randos, and the dungeon master started streaming on Twitch without warning. By Reddit user Bite Rose. Good morning, everyone. I saw the post about being secretly recorded by a player and posted to TikTok, and that just reminded me of my one horror story that's got some drama. See the title for some of it. See below for the rest. I'm a forever DM, and I see everywhere that sometimes you need to be a player to get out of a writing slump. So I joined a random game I found on a Discord server. We were playing a dungeon crawling module and had a session every other week. This game didn't start out great, and didn't really get better over the course of 4 months. There were issues getting people to show up, getting the virtual tabletop to work, and getting people to stop fighting with the DM, etc. I told myself that I would stay for 5 sessions, and I did, and then I left. There were approximately 7 players at a time in a session, and people would leave, and we'd get more people because the game wasn't to their liking. Which, fair. I complained about it to my own players, but add in the pets that everyone had, and combat took forever. Not to mention that the difficulty was dialed up to a 13 to 17 instead of 11. I did not make my character to be an optimized combat person, so I went down every fight, and I usually wasn't the only one. Plus, this game was almost 100% combat, so I spent a lot of time not speaking. At one point, the DM was introducing homebrew rules that weren't written down anywhere, sometimes to our favor, and other times they were just weird. But we didn't know them until we came across a situation where we interacted with said rules. One player got super heated about it, and honestly, I was too, but I was going to wait to talk to the DM out of game about it. And we argued about it for close to an hour. The same player did more reprehensible things because it's what my character would do. But that's not the story today. It was session 5 for me. I had missed a session, and the group hadn't met for a few due to reasons. Plus, we'd lost a few players, and I got to switch my character build around. We had opened a door, and there was a thing to fight, so we filed into the hall that I was in to fight it. Then there was another thing coming down from behind us, and we were scared because it was very likely that we would go down in waves. The guy before me takes their turn, and then the DM says, "And say hi to Twitch, everyone." And then they send us a link to their Twitch channel. It's real. We're being streamed to Twitch, though thankfully we were only using voice and not video. I immediately clam up and only say what I need to, like I run to the thing, stab it, sneak attack, disengage, and run away. As far as I'm aware, no one consented to being recorded because it was never brought up. There wasn't a session 0, though not really a point in doing that if you keep losing and replacing people, I guess. And Twitch had never been mentioned, even in passing. The other players sounded incredulous if they spoke afterwards, and the DM just thought it was fun. I just clammed up instead of arguing about it though, and I left after that session. Well, you know how they say, don't contribute to malice, which you could otherwise contribute to stupidity? I think that's the case here. Obviously, it's bad etiquette to stream something like a game of D&D that you're playing with other people over the internet, unless you ask them first. But I have a feeling that this DM probably didn't realize how other people might not like that, seeing how he basically exclaimed for everyone to say hi, in what I assume to be an innocent manner. And I feel I need to mention again, as it seems to be a trend lately. Homebrew rules in a game of D&D are fine, as long as the players know them ahead of time. Otherwise, it's obvious that you're just making crap up on the fly. I in no way blame OP for leaving that game at all, as it sounded like an absolute shit show. A shit show broadcasted for all the world to see. But now, before we move on, here's a kitty broadcasted for all of you to see. There we go. And with that kitty palate cleanser done, let's get to today's final story. First time playing again in years, and I get the power-tripping DM and his stooge. By Reddit user, Sick of It Blonde. Honestly, I never thought I'd post something here, or at least I hope not, cause I've had nothing but love for D&D since my uncle introduced it and Magic the Gathering to me as a kid. Like, he's the reason I had a group that I played with in school. But now I gotta vent about my latest experience with the game. So, as I stated, I haven't played in a while, and sadly, it's been hard finding decent people to play with in my area in person. So I decided to try the next best thing, online play. So I started to look at Roll20 and Discord servers looking for a game that sounded like it would be fun to join. Then I thought I found it. It read, "Old school players and newbies welcome. We use references and jokes from sources like movies, so if that bugs you, don't join. Mics are not necessary." Now, I know metagaming and doing jokes isn't for everyone, but honestly, I love being able to crack up and have fun with my fellow party members while playing. Anyway, enough of my rambling, and on to our cast. We had Leaf, a half-elf bard who is hilarious and a chill dude. I mean, this guy is like the chill brother I always wanted. Then we had Rain, our tiefling monk, a complete sweetheart who just wanted to keep the peace. Tyler, a gnome artificer who just liked making the weirdest combos of weapons. Then there was Brownnoser, an orc barbarian who just wanted to live up DM's backside. I decided that I wanted to be a tabaxi rogue with a twist. This was in the form of my background, and little did I know, this would be the problem apparently. To sum it up, my character had a twin brother that she did her jobs with for years, until they had enough to retire. They then set up an inn/tavern called the Queen's Jewels. Eventually, a small village formed up around it, and the brother and some locals call my character Queenie as a nickname. Not the most original, but the brother was the puckish type. Until he disappeared on a supply run, hence why my character is going out to try to find out what happened to him, leaving a trusted friend from the village in charge of the inn. I gave the DM all of this info and a copy of my character sheet when I started. Now, we did a few sessions together, and everything seemed okay, until we had to go back to my character's inn. The friend, upon seeing my character, was like, "Queenie," and gave her a hug. Everyone in the party was okay with being able to stay at the inn and have stuff on the house, except Brownnoser, who felt the urge to comment. "Why is that guy calling you a queen? You're not a queen. Plus, you don't have the right to say everything is comped for us. Why are you trying to control the game like this? It's rude." I was like, "Dude, this is my inn. I'm the owner along with my brother. This guy is our acting manager, and it's just a dumb nickname that my brother started to annoy me." Even the others were like, "She owns the place, and if the DM wants to use it in the campaign, that's his decision." But I guess something about Brownnoser saying that triggered our DM. Though, next, the friend was telling us about people and kids disappearing 2 towns over, very similar to my brother. So naturally, I wanted to check it out to see if it was the same people, or thing, that made something happen to my brother. Everyone agreed, though Brownnoser was somewhat reluctant. We go though, seeing a notice on the board in the town square asking for bodyguards for a noble child who had received a threat to be the next person taken. We head over, talk to the boy's father, and he agrees to have us watch over him in the night. Now, this kid was a spoiled brat to a T. He demanded that we entertain him until he goes to sleep, so I suggested that we sung the old carol of "Do You Want to Build a Snow Human?" A Frozen reference because I was in a weird Disney mood. The others thought it was hilarious and wanted to do it, though once again, Brownnoser accused me of trying to take over the game. I was like, "Dude, it's just a suggestion." Though this time, even the DM piped up, saying that I need to stop stepping on his toes. At this point, I'm like, okay, if you guys are going to be butthurt over me suggesting stuff, then I'm just going to go for the day. Later, I get a message from Rain, where she said that the DM was mad because I was trying to take over his location he made for the story, and if I did it again, he was kicking me. I was just like, that's the inn my character made from my background. I even sent her the same file that I sent the DM, showing how it was the background that I wrote for my character. She then was like, "WTF, why is he claiming that he wrote it?" And I was like, I don't know. I don't know why him and Brownnoser are acting like asshats. She then apparently sent the file to everyone else in the group chat and was like, "Why are you guys starting stuff over a background she wrote specifically for her character? If you didn't want her having interaction with someone who would know her, then don't use stuff from that background." which everyone else agreed with, except for, of course, the DM and Brownnoser. They were like, yeah, why would you expect her not to be able to do stuff if she knows the people? Plus, she literally owns the place. The DM then messages me, saying, I'm going to keep using the inn and your character as the keeper there, but you're going to have to make a new character if you want to keep playing with us. I was just like, are you serious? He was like, yeah, since you want to be difficult about stuff, that's the only way this will work. I was like, so I'm being difficult if I don't want to let you just plagiarize the background that I wrote and be able to have interaction with the characters that I know since they're part of my character story, especially since you're the one who decided to start that interaction. He was like, exactly. I started the interaction, so it's my inn and stuff to control. You don't have any say in it. I was like, okay, clearly you don't get how D&D should work. It's a story and world-building experience that you're supposed to do together with your players, not just you stealing their work, claiming it as your own, and then getting pissy because they don't do stuff exactly the way you want. I then left the group. I talked with the others explaining what happened, and they wanted me to come back, but I just couldn't deal with those two again. And sadly, that is that. Well, first, I just have to say that I hope this video gets the same amount of likes that this story had. But jokes aside, this sounded like things could have been solved with a bit of communication, though only at the start of the problems. As a player, you do write your background, but any characters that are involved in said background are then to be played by the DM and fleshed out. Granted, it would make sense for the stay at the end to be free for the party, since OP's character did own the place, so I don't think OP assuming as much is in any way taking away control from the DM. It sounds like the Brownnoser was trying to get under the DM's skin when suggesting as much, like some sort of D&D worm tongue. And later, when OP tried to make a lighthearted joke about the song that they would sing to the kid, Brownnoser used it to poke the DM again. Now, a good DM would tell Brownnoser to shut the hell up and that they aren't trying to take over the game. But of course, that didn't happen. Otherwise, this story wouldn't be here. At that point, I would have asked the DM and Brownnoser to elaborate and try to defuse this whole situation. But at the same time, I can't blame OP for just noping out after that. Though that might be why the DM gave OP that ridiculous ultimatum at the end. So yeah, at that point, OP just leaving the game entirely was probably the best option. But that is all I have for you today. As always, I appreciate all of you, and may your games remain horror story free. Until next time.